Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking a truly fascinating shift that's happening right now. We're going to dive into how Egypt is literally transforming from just managing a famous waterway into a full-blown global manufacturing and maritime powerhouse. It's a massive pivot, moving from terrestrial construction straight out into the deep ocean. Let's get right into it. Okay, we're going to anchor our exploration on one really big number, $1.6 billion. This initial $1.6 billion infrastructure investment wasn't just about digging a wider ditch in the sand. It was actually the foundation that supported a massive, new maritime logistics network that is completely redrawing the region's economic map. Here is a quick look at our agenda for today. 1. Suez Canal industrial transformation. 2. Defining high-seas vessels. 3. The giant fishing fleet. 4. Localizing warship production. And finally, contextualizing the national cost. All right, moving into Section 1, Suez Canal Industrial Transformation. So this expansion from a simple navigational channel to a robust logistics hub really kicked into high gear in 2015 with that massive 72-kilometer canal duplication project. Over the following years, that huge investment went into building and developing strategic ports at Sokhna, Port Said, Arish, and El Tor. And presently, the Suez Canal Authority itself has completely evolved. It's no longer just an administrative body collecting tolls. Actually, it's transformed into a heavy-duty manufacturer, building its very own tugboats, floating bridges, ferries, and dredgers. By setting up these vast economic zones, Egypt is bringing in some serious international players. We're talking 204 active factories fueled by $6.5 billion in investments from international companies. Plus, there are another 173 factories currently under construction. This whole ecosystem is slated to create thousands of local jobs right on the canal's banks. So it isn't just about moving ships anymore. It's about building a self-sustaining industrial engine. Which brings us to Section 2, Defining high-seas vessels. Now, to really grasp what's going on, we have to understand exactly what a high-seas vessel is, because it represents a massive strategic leap. These absolutely aren't your typical coastal boats. They are specialized, heavy-duty marine crafts engineered specifically for deep ocean operations. They can navigate way, way beyond national maritime borders. We're talking over 200 nautical miles from the coast, and they can operate continuously for weeks on end without ever needing to return to port to refuel. When you compare high-seas vessels to regular ones, the economics of the entire maritime industry completely change. Regular fishing vessels are basically trapped within coastal borders, and they're super vulnerable to rough weather. High-seas vessels, on the other hand, are built to conquer extreme oceanic weather. Because they can withstand those harsh conditions and stay out for weeks, they can target high-value deep-water catches like tuna and salmon. It literally shifts a nation's reach from the local shoreline out into the open ocean. Moving right along to Section 3, the giant fishing fleet. So, where are these floating factories coming from? Well, they are being constructed right at the South Red Sea Shipyard in Safaga, which is a location of immense strategic importance. This is a massive national project to build 12 giant high-seas fishing vessels. The main goal here, fulfilling the immense protein needs of the local market. To pull that off, these ships are packed with advanced fishing technology, massive lifting winches for incredibly heavy catches, and huge deep freezers to store those high-value fish for weeks at sea. Just think about the specs for the Risk 2 and Risk 3 models they're producing. 50 meters in length, 10.5 meters wide, with a draft of 4.2 meters, cutting through the water at 12 knots. To put that into perspective, 50 meters is more than half the length of an American football field. This really proves that Egypt isn't just importing technology anymore. They are actively constructing truly massive deep-water extraction ships right at home. Let's look at Section 4. Localizing warship production. Now, commercial fishing isn't the only capability being localized. Up north, the Alexandria Shipyard is spearheading advanced naval defense. They are now fully capable of building incredibly sophisticated warships. The absolute crown jewel of this localized production is the MEKO A-200 frigate. This is a highly sophisticated warship explicitly armed and designed for deep-sea military operations. It's a stark contrast to mere coastal patrol boats, for sure. The grand strategy here is actually pretty brilliant. The MEKO A-200 frigate provides the high-seas radar and defensive strike capabilities that are absolutely necessary to physically protect Egypt's deep-water natural gas wells from offshore threats. There's a direct synergy happening. As Egypt's economic interests move further offshore into the deep ocean, their military capabilities are advancing right alongside them to guarantee that wealth is secure. Finally, Section 5, contextualizing the national cost. So, how does the state justify the immense financial burden of these mega projects? Well, this translated quote from a presidential address really hits the nail on the head regarding the official sentiment. We squeezed ourselves and the state to build a state. The state leadership openly frames these massive capital expenditures and, the resulting economic hardships felt by the public as a painfully difficult but absolutely necessary cost for long-term national survival. The official argument directly acknowledges the heavy economic burden these projects place on the population. But the government asserts that skipping these investments would have been a softer choice in the short term, but a fatal one in the long run. Why? Well, because the nation is growing by over 2 million people every single year. You simply cannot support that kind of population explosion without massive foundational expansion. Plus, the state emphasizes that none of this growth and none of this offshore resource extraction is possible without the stability and security provided by projects like those localized naval frigates. Which leaves us with this final critical question to ponder. Will these localized maritime megaprojects, from the industrial factories on the canal to the giant deep-sea fishing fleets to the advanced warships protecting it all, ultimately secure the long-term economic stability the state is banking on? As Egypt pushes its capabilities further into the deep ocean, the stakes have literally never been higher. It's an incredible transformation to witness. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your eyes on the high seas.